These new LED lights may just be the single best upgrade I've done in this shop in years. Stick around and we'll talk about the why and the how. Hey everyone, Todd Wolf with Made by Wolf, and today we are doing a shop upgrade. So one of the things I've wanted to do for a long time in the shop is to put in LED bulbs to replace the 8-foot T12 fluorescent bulbs that I've had in there. And there are a number of good reasons to do this. A number of reasons. First of all, there's the savings of electricity. So for the same amount of electricity, you get more lumens out of a LED bulb than you do out of a fluorescent bulb. I'm going to be replacing 60 watt bulbs with 45 watt bulbs, and in doing so, that's a 25% reduction in electricity, but in doing so there's also going to be more light. Also, one of the things that has been a problem ever since I put in the lights here at the shop is that the ballasts hum. So whenever I turn on the lights, there's this background hum that is always there. I can actually hear it right now. I'm not sure if you can or not, but it's one of those things that's always there. There's also the issue that LED bulbs are directional bulbs, and sometimes that might be a neutral or a bad thing, but in the case of strip lights on the ceiling, it is a good thing because you really do want all of your light going down onto the surface that you are working on, into the workshop. And so one of the things that the LED bulbs do is that they project in one direction, and so that just means that all of the light that is being produced is going where we want it to go instead of part of it reflecting upwards. And particularly with bulbs in a workshop where there's a dusty environment, the top of those bulbs, not the LED bulbs, but the top of the fluorescent bulbs almost always accumulate dust, and that actually reduces the amount of light coming out of the bulbs even more so. And if you have fluorescent tubes in your workshop, one of the things you can do right now to get yourself more light is just to simply take the time to clean those bulbs off, and that will give you more light. So so those are some of the things that are some of the reasons why I have wanted to do this, and I'm going to do it today. Actually, I'm going to show you a clip from a couple weeks ago when I first went up and I started to exchange some of the ballast, and I immediately realized that I made an error in purchasing my lights. I forgot to make sure that they were LED lights that had a frosted cover on it, and so without that frosted cover, the LEDs themselves are bright enough that if you look at them, they actually make little dots on your vision, you know, like almost like you looked at the sun or something like that. So I encourage you that as you purchase your bulbs to replace these strip lights, that you realize that exposed LEDs that aren't diffused in any way are really, if you can look directly at them, it's really not the best choice. So all right, so there they are. They're up there. Flip the circuit back on. And I immediately feel like I've made a mistake. I'm okay with everything with them except that I really wished I'd got the frosted covering. Yeah, so behind me there, you can see this one here is actually one that I have already replaced yesterday to make sure I knew what I was doing and everything was working well. And then the one beyond it here is the traditional T8 bulbs. So these are LEDs here, and back here they are the traditional. Okay, pause things. I'm looking at this video and it really looks like, when you look at it, that the old lights, the ones I'm pointing at here, actually have more light than the new lights. At least that's what it looks like in the video. That is not what's really happening in real life. And I was a little confused by that. But then I realized, oh, this goes back to one of the things we said earlier in the video, that the LED bulbs are directional bulbs. That means that all of their light, 100% of their light, is going down, is being directed down, and you get some, you get some light bouncing around. So there's a little bit that gets reflected to the ceiling there, but most all of that light is going down, as opposed to the fluorescent bulbs, the ones that are being pointed at. They are not directional bulbs, and so all of their light is going in 360 degrees, which means that some of the light that could be lighting your project or my work surface or my machine that I'm working on is actually just lighting up the ceiling. And so part of the reason, again, to switch out to an LED bulb is that LED bulbs are directional and all of their light is being shined down towards the work project. And so, yeah, that's deceiving on the screen. I can tell you, and particularly when you get to the end of the video and I show you what things look like with all of the lights on, it is a huge difference. So, all right, ready? Go. These lights that I'm putting in are a 5,000 Kelvin light. I think the ones that I'm taking out are cool white lights, and so they are probably more in the high 3,000 to 4,000 Kelvin range, and so that makes a difference. These are true daylight bulbs, and that also kind of helps with the overall light. And so yeah, so let's see what's going to happen here. First thing I'm going to do is show you a diagram of exactly what it is, because of exactly what I'm doing electrically, because there are 3 different types of LED bulbs that you can purchase. And so this is important to know as you go to purchase your LED bulbs. One of the types of LED bulbs are what they call ballast bypass. These are for LEDs that are replacing a fluorescent light. And so one of them is called a ballast bypass, and that's what we're going to be doing today. But in order to put those bulbs in, you actually have to go into the fixture and cut out the ballast so it's no longer a part of it, and then rewire the lights so you have the hot going to one end and the neutral coming out of the other end of the light bulb. And so I'll show you exactly what we need to do that. I'll draw a diagram and then we'll actually do it in the light. Another kind of bulb you can get is actually a bulb that is called a that doesn't require the ballast to be bypassed, and so you can they're called plug and play bulbs. They're easy to stick in. You can just replace them, and I don't want to do that because I want to get rid of the humming ballast, so I want the ballast out of the picture. And so and then finally there's another bulb that you can get that will do either one, and I think they're labeled like A, B, and C. I'm not sure which one is which, but they actually have bulbs out there that they don't care whether or not there's a ballast or not. They can compensate for that in terms of the electronics with the LEDs. So so let's look at that diagram and see what we need to do in order to cut out the ballast so it is no longer a part of the picture. All right, so this is what we have going on in terms of the lights. The top here is the current light with the fluorescent bulb in it. You can see it has a ballast in the middle, and that's what we need to remove. And so in order to do that, we will cut here and here, and then we'll cut here and we'll cut here. And then we can just take the ballast completely out, and it's removed from the picture. And then we need to do some rewiring so that we have, on one end, we have the incoming voltage, which is the black wire. So on one end we need to have the black wire hooked up to both of those tombstones, and on the other end we need to have the white wire, or the neutral, hooked up to the other end on those tombstones. So we're going to cut out, again, we're going to cut here and here and here and here. And the way that these lights are wired may be different from the way that your fluorescent light is wired. They do wire them differently, and they use different color wires on the inside. Sometimes you got a yellow and a black wire, and sometimes you got red and blacks and whites. And so you just need to understand that the goal in the end is to have, as on this bottom picture, to have the black wire coming in and having it powering both of these tombstones, and then on the other end to have the white or the neutral powering or receiving the power from the other end. So the neutral or the white wire would be connected to the other end of the fixture. So one of the things that I have in this is that we have the tombstones on this end actually have 2 wires coming out of it. It has one white wire that goes to the ballast, and it has another white wire that is connected to the neutral. And so when we cut this ballast out and we reattach these wires, we have these two wires that are just left over and hanging there. And I didn't want to get into pulling the tombstones out and figuring out how to remove that wire from that. Don't even know if it's possible. So what I ended up doing is I just put a wire nut over those two wires. So that deals with the two wires that are left over in the scenario with this light. And then all right, so here we are up on the ladder. Now, I have turned off the power to this. Best practice is that you would turn it off at the panel. There's several reasons for that. First of all, sometimes your lights may be wired such that there is still, even though the lights are off, there still may be power up in the fixture, and so that's one of the reasons. Second reason that it's a best practice to turn it off back at the panel is that someone could come in the middle of this and flip a switch. And so if they did that, even though you didn't have power for a moment, you would then have power at that point. And so that would not be good. So I've turned off the power to the fixtures. We need to remove the bulbs. As I do this, I want to just hopefully show you the difference. Now these bulbs, I do clean these once in a while, but the top of this bulb has a lot of dust on it. And so even though these bulbs don't give out as much light as what a LED does, they give out even less right now because they are constantly in a dusty workshop getting dust on them. There's just no way around that. So good reason to get rid of them. There. Take off this cover. All right, now you can see another great reason to get rid of the ballast is that ballasts go bad sometimes. And so this is a light I can tell that I put I've replaced the ballast at some point in with. All right, I just mentioned that this ballast had been replaced, and so it's a good time to remind you once again that the diagram that I showed you in terms of what the ballast is may be different than what your lights are, and so you want to be aware of that. When I replaced the ballast, the new ballast was wired differently. It actually has 5 wires coming out of it instead of 4. The original ballast on all these lights had four wires coming out of it, and this one had 5 coming out of it. And so do realize that the ballast wiring may be different. But what isn't different is the goal and of the once the ballast is removed, you need to have on the tombstones on one end, you need to have the power hooked up, and then the tombstones on the other end, you need to have the neutral hooked up. So here we go. Ballast is gone, and we're ready to put our white covers back up. I'm just going to put one of these lights in for a second because I want to show you one of the problems that shows up with these 8-foot bulbs. You won't have this with any 4-foot bulb. Is that, see this here? These sag. So they actually sell clips that look like this. They're just a small little clip that will clip into that bulb, and we're going to screw it right into the center part of this of the light. All right. Goes there, and then it just clips in there. You can see that that holds that in place nicely. All right, let's go turn this sucker on and see what happens. There you go. So I finished installing the lights. All 13 lights are in, and I can't express really, and I mean maybe the video captures it, but just how much of a difference that these lights make in terms of the lighting of the workshop, lighting of the actual work areas that I'm at. I needed a total of 26 bulbs. I ordered 28 because that was 24, 2 packs of 12, and then I ordered a 4-pack. And there was one of those 28 bulbs was bad. So I'm in the process of getting together with, or trying to get a hold of CN Sunway, which is the manufacturer. And again, we've used these before, or I've used these before in a different building and had no problems at all with them. So we're probably looking at about 100 bulbs that I've purchased from them, and we've got one that's not bad. And so we'll see what the customer service is like. Hey, I wanted to break in real quickly and let you know it was yesterday that I was recording that video. And this morning when I got in my inbox, there was an email from CN Sunway letting me know that they are going to refund me for 2 bulbs. And so that was pretty quick. So 2 thumbs up for CN Sunway's customer service. But yeah, huge difference. And if you, I mean, we have to see, in order to make things well, we have to see things. You know, we have to be able to see, particularly when we're doing precise work. If you're cutting a dovetail, you need to be able to see stuff. If you're cutting something to a line on a miter saw, or you need to be able to see it well. So lighting, it makes all the difference in the world. And so I'm happy that I've done this. I'm actually a little irritated that it took so long because it's such a huge difference. And so I encourage you that if you are still working with old fluorescents, or if you just don't have enough light, to do what you need to do inside your workshop so that you have the light that you need to do the projects that you need to do well, because you can see it well. So I encourage you to do that. Thanks for kind of hanging out with this upgrade with me. And yeah, Todd Wolf with Made by Wolf, encouraging you to make something today. And remember, you can't make it if you can't see it. So thanks for sticking with me. I hope you found this lighting swap video useful. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button, and also check out the other things on the channel. Just lots and lots of good information about how to do things well in the shop, how to build projects, and we can do this together. Let's go make something today.